Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another live this morning. Good to have you on with us. And this morning, LLM, Ladies Lives Matter. Okay? All lives matter, but ladies, your lives matter. I want to talk to you specifically this morning. Nativity, good morning. Jeanette and Lisa, Brandy's on with us this morning. John, good morning. And guys, this is for you too. We'll talk about that in a minute. Janelle and Dawn, and good morning. Nick, how are you this morning? Okay, so good to have you. Shirley, yes, I want to say hello to a few people. Rosa, how are you? I'm having my vitamin C this morning. Tomorrow we talk about vitamin C, okay? We'll talk about Martin Clinic vitamin C. We'll talk about the other vitamin C, okay? We'll bring that in, okay? Anna, good morning to you. From Texas, good morning. And Maria and Brent from the Philippines. How do you like that, guys? From the Philippines. Melanie and Julie. Bonjour, Julie. And Roxanne and Monique. Monique's got her coffee cup up there too. Shelley. Ladies' lives matter. Angelina, was it Angelina or Angela? Angelina, I think, from Arkansas. Let me just look back. I got to see that one. Okay, good morning, Andrea. Yalang, bonjour. I just want to say hello because I saw one here. Mandy, good morning. Tennessee, Angelina. Okay, guys, I think you're going to appreciate our topic this morning. Jean, how are you? And Evelyn and Jerry and Lisa, good morning to you. Okay, so we got a good crowd on with us, very big, and this gets spread around, and I appreciate that. So let's talk everything breast cancer. The University of Virginia came out with a study, I believe it was last week. I flagged it. And I said, okay, we're going to do that. We're going to talk about what they found. And I think you're going to find some of this stuff fascinating. Some of it will be review, but I think it's important in this day and age. I just want to say overall, okay, I just want to say overall that we're not winning the war on cancer, okay? So it bothers me, and that's why I say ladies' lives matter, because we're not winning the war that started with President Nixon, believe it or not, in the 1970s. I still remember it when he said, we are in a war with cancer. Well, you know what? It lasted longer than Afghanistan. The war in Afghanistan, it's lasted longer than the war in Vietnam. It's lasted, here we are, that was in the 1970s, and here we are 50 years later, and we barely have made a dent in breast cancer. And as a matter of fact, in the 1970s, 1 out of North American women, whether you lived in Canada or United States, it was 1 out of 20, and today it's about 1 out of 7, 1 out of 6. It's crazy. And I'm going to tell you why that has happened. Why we're not winning the war on breast cancer. And men, just tune in, because let me just say this. When I talk about breast cancer in women, and somebody pointed this out yesterday, yes, men can get breast cancer too. But when I talk about breast cancer, men, pay attention, because breast cancer and prostate cancer in men are almost identical cancers. The same thing that causes breast cancer, and we're going to talk about that this morning, are the same things that cause prostate cancer in men. I've been saying this for 30, 40 years, guys. I've talked about We're missing the boat. Ladies' lives matter. We missed the boat. It might sound a little extreme, but if 1 out of 20 women in the 1970s got breast cancer, and today it's 1 out of 6 or 7, to me, that's abuse. It's an abuse. It's because, in my opinion, we're looking for love in all the wrong places. We're just not looking at the cause of breast cancer. We never talk about the cause of it. We just talk about, in medicine, they talk about the treatment of breast cancer. And, whenever breast cancer awareness comes, I don't even remember when it is. Is it May or, I don't know. All I'm saying is, you can wear pink. You can do whatever you feel like. I don't care. If you want to contribute to the cancer societies and the breast cancer, who wants cancer? And I understand, let's raise money, but where is the money going? If anyone ever comes knocking at my door, and I'm very gracious, by the way, okay? I am. But I say, man, where's the money going? You're coming to collect money, but where's it going to? They don't know. They're just volunteers, right? 90% of it or more goes to marketing and paying bills for the executives, their salaries. How much is going into research? Not much. And even then, the problem with the research, I sort of touched on this yesterday, is that the pharmaceutical companies, they're the only ones doing the research. What are they looking for? A med. They're looking for a drug. They're looking at changing, tweaking chemotherapy and that. You know how expensive chemotherapy is? In Canada here, we never see the bill. We never see the bill because, if you have cancer, you go through the cancer treatment and blah, blah, blah. We never see the bill, but it's expensive. It's hugely expensive because chemotherapy is very expensive. Well, even radiation is very expensive. The second you put your foot in a hospital, guys, it costs a fortune. So anyway, let's leave that aside for a minute and talk about what Virginia talked about. Now, I want to bring this out, and you know me, I'm a repetition. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. That's me. I can't help it, okay? I can't help it. Now you see this? That's a ballpoint pen. Ladies, you see that? See the little tip of it? Okay? It's very important. This is key. You understand this. You see that little tip of the ballpoint pen? Okay? I'll get rid of it. Okay? The tip's gone. So can you see the tip? Okay? For cancer to grow to the size of the tip of a ballpoint pen, 5 years. People have this idea with breast cancer that it takes, I was in the shower, and ladies, I'm not against you doing this. It's not a bad idea. Do a self-examination. Okay? I'm not against that. If you feel a little lump, now, good luck with feeling that in your breast tissue. But if you do feel a little lump, you go to the doctor and you say, well, I felt a little lump, and they examine, we're going to do a mammogram. They do a mammogram, and they ain't going to see that little lump in a mammogram. But let's say they do. What do? You get a call and you wait for the results of the mammogram, or they give it to you right there, or they want to redo a rescreening, and then they do a biopsy. And then you wait on the results of the biopsy. When you wait, and then when you get the call and say, if a doctor calls you and says, I want to see you in the office, it's usually not good. They're not saying, come on, we're having a birthday party for you at our office. No, it's usually not good news, right? So they call and they say, well, look, it's cancer. The biopsy came back, it's cancer. And then they usually want to, go and either do surgery or whatever they decide. They often want to do, take out your lymph nodes because they want to see if it's gone in the lymphatic system. And I don't want to argue about that. I mean, I got a different idea about lymph nodes, but maybe I'll talk about it if I have time. But let me just say that if they found that it is cancer, that cancer has been there at least 5 years, growing very slowly, and probably 10 years. By the time you feel it, it's been in there for 10 years. And this is why I want to talk to you about Ladies' Lives Matter. I want to get your attention so that you can look, and then I'll talk to you about what happened in Virginia at the University of Virginia. But all I'm saying is, ladies, that is sort of you have to understand where I come from. My background is looking at preventing cancer. Now listen, most of us at this very second, you're at home right now, your body fights cancer every day. It does. Your body is a fighting machine until it isn't. And then we're going to talk about putting your body into its best shape so that you continue. You see, it's like the virus, right? Every day I've got to check my blood pressure because every time I get on social media, I have to watch myself because I find myself so frustrated because they're always talking about the curve or flattening the curve or the second wave and how many people have the virus. Well, so what? So what? If 1 million people have a virus, so what? The point is, what is your immune system doing? If it's not the coronavirus, it'll be something else. Guys, you fight cancer every day. You have to put your immune system. You have to put it in the best shape possible. And the immune system isn't that complicated. It isn't. Well, I've been studying the immune system for 50 years. Yeah. I was in university at 18 years old, 17, when I first started. Guys, I've been studying the immune system, and we know a lot more today than we used to. And this is good news because the more you know about how your immune system fights cancer and fights viruses too, it's the immune system. It isn't the cancer. We're always going to have cancers. You're never going to be, when I hear the term, I'm cancer-free. Nah, you're not. You're not. You're never cancer-free. If you understand that, you go, okay, so what do I do? Okay, let's talk about the 3 things, and then this is going to show you that we're on the right track here, okay? So the University of Virginia, here's what they said, 3 things that they talked about that are that came out. okay? And one of them was, and this is the University of Virginia, this is not me saying it, although we see it every day. One, here's what they found, that changes in the gut, have an effect, a major effect, it says, on breast cancer. They're only specifically studying breast cancer. Major changes in the gut have an enormous effect on breast cancer. Leaky gut, you know me. Leaky gut, leaky brain. Leaky gut, leaky skin. Leaky gut, leaky lungs. Leaky gut, leaky sinuses. Leaky gut, leaky breast. And wasn't it interesting? Here's what they said. The major factor in changing the gut's microbiome, which affects, remember, if you go inside, guys, your gut, it's a forest of good and bad bacteria. It's a war inside your gut. It's invisible. Like the coronavirus, it's invisible. Your gut, you can't see those bacteria. You need a microscope. But there's a war going on. And what the University of Virginia is saying, I felt like giving them a high five, is that when your gut microbiome changes, it affects your immune system, and your immune system can no longer fight the breast cancer like it used to. Now, let me tell you what they said about the gut. The biggest thing that changes, ladies, your microbiome in the gut is antibiotics. I didn't say it. Well, I've said it before, but they said it. The use of antibiotics, which is the greatest discovery of the 20th century, has changed the microbiome in women, making them much more susceptible to breast cancer. You have a gut, you have a lining in the gut. It's a barrier in there between your gut and your blood. Blood, guys, is a river 60,000 miles. It goes everywhere. Blood goes everywhere. And what the University of Virginia is saying, in behind that little wall of bacteria, it's very thin. You can't see it. It's invisible. And you have bacteria there. You have a little lining there. And when you take an antibiotic, you don't think about what it does to your gut. You're thinking about, hey, I have an infection. Might be a urinary tract. Might be a sinus infection. It may be cellulitis. It may be anything that you need an antibiotic for. The problem is, it changes the gut lining. And what happens, okay? What happens? Everybody in their gut has a little bit of yeast, fungus, candida. The problem is, when you take an antibiotic, you kill the good bacteria that keeps your yeast down. Ladies, listen. Listen, Linda. Fungus, yeast. You know what? Yeast outside your... What does yeast do? My wife was saying they couldn't find any yeast in the grocery store. There's been a run on yeast. Okay, for baking. Right? But what does it do? Whoop, makes things rise. Right? It makes things rise. And that's all right, guys. But inside your body, what does yeast do? Ooh, it takes off. It grows. And one of the areas that it loves is the breast tissue. But it starts in the gut. This is, you know me. I talk about the gut all the time. It's so important. And I love when the University of Virginia, not West Virginia, says the same thing. We're in 2020 and they're saying the overuse of Now, again, let me just make a little disclaimer for new people watching me today. If you need an antibiotic, you need an antibiotic. I'm not against them at all. I'm against the overuse of them. And ladies, especially for you, because the vast majority of urinary tract infections are not bacteria-based. They're yeast-based. They're fungal-based, especially if they're recurring. Same thing in the sinuses. So all I'm saying is, if you take an antibiotic, please replace that bacteria. And yogurt won't do it. Ladies, lives matter. They do. It's important, ladies. Take care of your gut and don't feed the bears. Not only do cancer cells need sugar. You know what the PET scan is? The PET scan is not for your pets. The PET scan is for cancer. It's a cancer detecting scan. And how does the PET scan work for people who say, well, just eat a balanced diet? You have a balanced diet. You can have some granola. No, you can't. Because cancer needs fuel, sugar. Ladies, this is for you. Oh, Dr. Martin, it's chocolate. I don't care. It's sugar. Don't have cereal, ever. You want to avoid breast cancer? Don't eat cereal. Don't eat granola. Okay. Read your labels. Look for sugar, especially sugar added. It fuels breast cancer because it feeds yeast. Where does yeast come from? The gut. Where does that come from? Antibiotics. It couldn't, and listen, a lot of other things do it too, but I'm just going to focus in this morning on what the University of Virginia said. So I think, okay, we got the gut, number one. Here's another thing they said, okay, number two. They talked about the diet. Imagine the University of Virginia talked about the diet. How when you eat low carb, it has a major effect on preventing breast cancer. Ladies, listen. There are two things that make things grow in your body. There are two hormones that make things grow in your body. One is insulin. Insulin is a food hormone. And you need insulin when you eat. If you don't eat, you don't need it. If you eat crappy foods, you need lots of it. And insulin is a growth hormone. It makes things grow. The second one is estrogen. Estrogen. Estrogen makes you a woman. Estrogen is a beautiful thing, ladies. You know, estrogen is good. The problem with it is it's a double-edged sword. Because estrogen, ladies, keeps you young. You're a woman. You know what estrogen's job is, though? Estrogen job is to hold on to fat. Yeah. And ladies go, oh, I'm coming back as a man if I get another life, right? Because of fat, okay? But listen, breast tissue is fat, right? Breast tissue is fat. Estrogen holds on to it. Estrogen fuels it. And that's good because ladies, you're ladies. Problem is when estrogen goes up too high and it feeds cancer. Now, I even last week I talked to a lady, said, oh, she had cancer, so I just did a little bit of talking with her, and I said, well, listen, really, you got to hammer down that estrogen, hammer it down. And she said, well, when I got the biopsy done, they said my breast cancer wasn't estrogen positive. I said, yes, it is. I beg to disagree. It's always positive to estrogen. And some would be more positive than others. But I don't care if they tell you that your breast tissue or the breast cancer is not receptive to estrogen. You want to bet? It's 100% receptive to estrogen. You need to keep your estrogen down. Okay? Now, we talk about xenoestrogens. What are xenoestrogens? Well, it's the world in which we live. Everything since World War II, 100,000 chemicals, DuPont Incorporated, and they did some wonderful things. The problem is all those chemicals. Your body, ladies, think it's estrogen. Plastic. Oh, come here. Your body is saying, your cells are going, oh, plastic? I love you. Come here. Now, if you think, look, you can diminish that by, leaving the planet, because plastic is in our water, it's in our air, it's everywhere. It's in the ocean, but it's in our water. And you can say, well, I don't drink out of a plastic bottle. Well, good for you. But it's everywhere anyway. You can't, unless you're planning on leaving the planet, you're going to be exposed to xenoestrogens, ladies. You can lower it, but you can't get rid of it, because where are you going to go live on this planet? It's everywhere. It's in the air. It's not just plastics. It's chemicals. Chemicals can be very convenient, but they're everywhere. They're in our cleaning products. They're in our air fresheners. They're in hand sanitizers. Ooh, I hate that stuff. Every time I see a hand sanitizer, okay? Are you going to squeal on me if I tell you what I do? I pretend to take it. I don't do it on my hands. It does two things. It kills your friendly bacteria, your immune system. And it's, ladies, you're putting estrogen right into your bloodstream by your hands. Oh, you want to see why I have to constantly go, my blood pressure goes up. When I hear wash your hands, wash your hands. Yes, wash your hands, ladies, with soap and water. Not with hand sanitizers. Ooh, I go crazy. Ladies' lives matter. You're hurting yourself. It's estrogen. It's not really. It's a xenoestrogen, but your body thinks it's estrogen. You can't pronounce it on the, you read the label if you can read it. You can't pronounce it. Your body thinks it's estrogen. It's a xenoestrogen. I don't want to get sidetracked. I think we're going to have to do this in 2 parts. I really do, because we got too much to talk about. But all I'm saying is, guys, listen, ladies, this ladies' lives matter. Your lives matter. You ain't going to be much good to anybody else unless you're healthy. True or false? It's true, isn't it? And so I'm on your side, ladies. I'm on your side. Okay? I got 3 daughters. I got a beautiful wife. I'm into protection for the people I love. And you know what? When I tell you at the end of this program that I love you, I mean it. If you give me your time, I love you. I do. And I mean that. I just want to, I'm out to protect. Because I want to be health news behind the news. Stuff you will rarely ever hear about. And breast cancer, we're not winning the war. Because we're looking for new drugs. So we're waiting for you ladies to get breast cancer. And then here's what we do. I once asked an oncologist this question. Why do you do that? It was like I slapped him in the face. What do you mean, why do I do that? Well, I said, it's not working. Why are you doing that? Because it's what we do, he said. I said, well, that's not a good enough answer. Tell me why you're doing it. Why are you radiating the life out of that patient? Or why are you, look, surgery, I'm not, look, if you got cancer, I'm pretty well for, if you can, take it out. But what I don't like is hammering the immune system after with chemo and radiation. But guys, look, I'm into prevention. So the treatment of it, I'd rather you never have to deal with it, even though you're dealing with it every day. But you don't, you know, that you never have to get the C word. You know, you got the C word, the bad news. And I'm telling you, the answer's in front of us. Okay? So I think what we'll do, because we're running out of time here this morning, I think what we're doing is tomorrow, I was going to talk to you about coffee. There's a couple of new studies on coffee but there's actually one in comparison to vitamin C. So tomorrow what we're going to do, okay, tomorrow, we'll talk about, because I got to finish this. We're going to talk about what do we do, okay? So we already talked about the gut, but we're going to, and we talked a little bit about the diet, but we'll talk even more about that. And we'll talk about what the Martin Clinic protocol is for that, okay? So we'll do that tomorrow, okay? Just because I don't want to miss out on anything that is important. Okay, so if you have any questions, I'm going to try and answer them as much as I can. And Friday is question and answer day, okay? So we do that one Friday morning. It's quite popular, and we appreciate that. And I'm happy to answer your questions, okay? And this is what the Martin Clinic Facebook group is all about, is answering your questions, okay? So, you have comments or whatever, and, be nice. You guys are nice, but sometimes there's a little bit of argument there, and we don't mean that. I sometimes get a little uptight myself, okay? And I somebody challenges me, and I try and, I got to be careful with that, because sometimes I'm a little abrupt. Okay? It's just my blood pressure. I'm trying to get it down. Okay. Love you guys. I mean that. Love you ladies. Okay. Men too. Okay. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Love you.